And we are back. The Savage Barbell Podcast, back with Travis. Doing part 2 today.
Round 2.
We have a lot more time today to talk and go through programming and training and just where I think training and people's mindsets are today. Because, when we both started, there was no real internet or social media or clout chasing or anything like that. Now it's like, it's crazy. So, where'd you want to start at?
Man, what a day to be back in Mobile. Went to the Mardi Gras ball last night, and it's almost overwhelming. Like, just seeing, it's hilarious. I was making the realization because women, the ladies have to wear, or get to wear, like all these fancy ball dresses and stuff. And the guys, we all look the exact same. We all have the exact same penguin tuxedo on. So there's no way of like outclassing the next gentleman in your dress other than your physique.
No, there's that, and Victoria told me there's like one organization that you still have to wear gloves as a guy.
No, thank you.
I don't know which one that is, but you still have to wear the gloves. Now, the only thing you can do differently is if you're part of the organization, then you can look like a clown, like the guys on the parade.
I was asking because I'm not that. I was here for 3 years or 2 years, but I wasn't really.
But you're from North. You're not from. Same when I got down here, I was like, I don't get it. It doesn't.
Why is the ICP here? Why are there some people wearing like the Gigolo?
It's just the Mardi Gras. If they're members of the organization, they can wear whatever they want. But there's also like
it's uniform. They all wear the same thing.
There's that, but then I also saw there's a couple people that used to come to the gym back in the day when we had our adult classes, and they had like yellow and orange tuxes on. Now I don't know if now they are, they're gay. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying like maybe that organization allows that. But like that's the only time you'll see something different is one of those organizations that are probably a little more open to doing certain things. Like even like the black balls, they're a little more open to dress code. But like the old school ones that started as probably mean old white people,
and good old boys,
you have to wear what you need to wear. But
it was weird though, because you would definitely wear, everyone's in tuxes and gowns, and then there's just it almost looks like a hockey uniform. It's weird. It's like an all silk jumper, and it's the least formal thing in the world, and it's the society people who are like part of the little groups. I guess. Yeah. Someone who knows.
Well, the thing is, it's so weird too, is because it costs you what, like $70 to rent one.
Tux?
What did it cost you to rent?
In Tennessee is a smooth 180.
Oh, so in 180, so in Tennessee, so down here.
So I just bought one.
So down here it's like 70 to rent one or like 100 to buy one. So it's like what? What
are we doing? Twice, yeah.
Like
what are we doing here?
Just spend an extra $20. So,
but yeah, anyway, to the point being that like, the only way you can really stand out is to have a great physique.
Oh yeah,
right. Because shoulder to waist ratio. It's the only thing that shows. Because I can't wear black and white more fancy than you. We all have the same thing on.
Yeah, no, for sure. And but like I said, the girls can kind of get away with.
The girls go all out
with whatever hanging out, as long as it's a long gown. There's
some really weird splits too, like where these dresses split, and some sleuts if we want to go.
Oh yeah,
it's just it's not a classy look.
No, especially some of the organizations they kind of.
Welcome to the Savage Podcast, where we got canceled in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. So. Training stuff.
Always.
Like we were talking yesterday or the other day about how you changed and kind of your bodybuilding split now. What does a typical day look like since you're training? I don't know if he's a pro bodybuilder. I'm sure he's probably trying to get his card or he just does it for fun, but like that's what he does. Like your partner, he does strictly bodybuilding training. So what does a normal split look like? And after you talk about the split, or maybe before you talk about the split, when you first really started training with him, not like working out with him, because I'm sure you went up there, you were working out, and then you started hopping in, a couple of days a week with him. But like when you first started training with him, like how your eyes opened up to that totally different style of training, where you thought you were doing like bodybuilding style, but you were just working out. You weren't training bodybuilding. You were working out like a bodybuilder, but you weren't training.
That's exactly
like a bodybuilder.
That's the first distinction to make. And you can ask people, are you training or are you working out? And there's a real easy distinction. Go to a gym at 5:30 in the morning. No one's in there working out. They may not know what they're doing, but they're training.
Yeah.
There's a whole different mindset and intent that goes into training. And that's why you got to be real precise with your language. Because if you just say, I'm going to go to the gym and work out, that's great. That's an exercise session.
Yeah.
Training is an endpoint to get better.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a big distinction that a lot of people who may be frustrated with their progress aren't making. Because if you're in training camp, you're doing things outside of the gym that align with that goal, right? You're not at the Mardi Gras ball all night smashing whiskey cokes because you got legs in the morning, right? So there's a big difference that goes into that. So when I realized I wasn't going to weightlift anymore, competitive weightlifting, I realized that, just the easy thing to fall back to is physique, because I had this moment between being a fighter and being an Olympic weightlifter where I was working in the gym as a personal trainer, already having a few years of training under my belt, had like a decent physique to be like, oh, I can like diet down and take some photos and market myself as a personal trainer. We've all been there. If you're 21 and a meathead and want to do this professionally, that's your game plan. So from there, started to fall back into my education. You and I share our same undergraduate in exercise science and realize that there's some really smart people in this field. And, I've always been a fan of Dr. Mike Israetel, Jared Feather, and those guys over at Renaissance Periodization, and started to look into kind of their methodology. So if you haven't been through this and you're interested in hypertrophy, I was doing this right before I left here.
Yeah.
They have a whole YouTube series where they've went through the literature and figured out what is like the upper limit of recoverable volume for each body part.
Yeah.
And then what's the lower limit to keep a body part the same. And this is all a hypertrophy stimulus, because the easiest thing to measure is volume over time. Yeah. Load and intensity will be different per lifter, but volume is a very standardized measurement. It's a variable that we can account on.
Yeah.
So, for example, like to keep legs, quads, pretty much the same size, you only need like 1 or 2 hard sets a week.
Yeah.
That's all the stimulus your body needs. So that can even be like a ruck. Yeah. A long ruck will give you that stimulus. But arms are highly stimulative. So you can train arms damn near to failure every day.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if it's just like a single set of biceps or a single set of triceps. Mm-hmm. And then it gets a little complicated when you start looking at how many sets of triceps am I doing per week, because you got to take into account all of your pressing movements.
Yeah.
So they have some literature out there that's really helpful to start looking at training at physique exercise as training. That's where I started. This is how my little journey went, because I have a degree that has inclined me to want to be data driven.
Yeah.
So I want data points. I want to be able to see the change over time. So I started to do this and started going off their literature and realized, well, let me just pay for one of their products. They have a hypertrophy guide.
Well, here's one thing too, I think, with having the degree in exercise science is, and I think you could probably attest to it, it might be a little different from App State, but everything, like I said, is data driven, literature driven. But it's not really the training that you're going to do. It's more the NSCA type training in the books that you would learn. Now, it might be different up there because I know they're a little more up to date. But like a lot of these people, like if you're going to exercise science degree, like you have to do stuff on your own, read stuff on your own, because a lot of these schools, it's just
the theory,
and it's you go take a CSCS test, but then you go to a real training gym, like a performance gym, and it's like, that's not how it really works.
No one's doing an agility ladder.
Yeah, nobody's doing these drills or doing training like this, or like, it's like, 4 sets of 10 does this, but really the last set is what matters, or are you moving the bar at the same rate of velocity all 10 reps? Because if you're not, then you're only getting those, 2 reps at the beginning, right? But anyways, go back to your, I was just, because like data is huge, but people need to realize too that you need to be around true either athletes, coaches, centers, gyms that train specifically in certain disciplines, because the books are going to say one thing because they're so clinically, like most of it's clinical data from people who, usually it's just people who work out and they do the studies from them, not true athletes. So.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. And that may be a point to expand on. So let me kind of finish this thought and come back to it. So I bought a product they sell called the, I believe it's just the male physique template. Because I want to get an idea how these guys think. It was someone that, like I said, I'm really highly respect in the field. So let's see how they kind of put together programming. And I was doing that I did all 4. I did 4 to 7 week mesocycles.
Yeah.
Strict build set, straight sets, 1 metabolite style training for 4 weeks and then a deload. I was going back through it, and I started to realize that kind of quick. I was realizing that from my schedule and the way my day set up, I'm not a pro athlete, that it's really not demotivating, but I don't get as excited to come in and know that I've got 2 sets of hamstrings, a set of lateral delts, and a set of triceps as my workout for the day.
Yeah.
And I'm on a deload. It's smart scientifically that you should do that, but again, it's to cover these volume variable landmarks to make sure that you're getting enough stimulus across the system if you're trying to grow everything. Now, certain people, like I have great delts.
Yeah.
My delts grow regardless. It could be from weightlifting or whatever. I really don't have to put that much emphasis on my delts if I wanted to. I could probably pull some back and put that into a lagging body part.
And it would still be the same.
Like my arms, right? They're not going to shrink any because they're still getting plenty of stimulus, but they're not going to have that maximal growth stimulus.
Yeah.
Right? So everything in this game of hypertrophy, I'm learning, is stimulus effect.
Yeah.
Cause and effect. So your question is, how did I start training? How did that change my philosophy? So I'd done that and was sticking to it and still kind of, I don't have it with me, but I was still kind of logging my workouts, and I've always been a logbook guy. I have them from back in the day in college. And you notice the people that are training when you're training other than the people that are working out.
Yeah.
So met my training partner, Spencer, and he had a Tyler Childers t-shirt on. Now, I'm a social butterfly. I'll talk to anybody. This dude's very introverted. So I was like, nice shirt. Just kind of talking to him. And then as most gym bromances go, you need a spot at some point. So you come ask the guy who's nice to you. So I started talking training philosophies. And like, well, why don't you come and train with me one day? And we did chest together on a Monday. And I just did every workout for the rest of the time since today with him.
Yeah.
And it changed entirely because I asked him, like, what is your approach? And he's got a different degree than us. So he doesn't have this background. But the man's massive. He's 291 this morning. Sent me his check-in photos. He's 291 with a six-pack.
Yeah.
That's insane. Like, and dense. Like, not small.
Yeah.
6'2", 6'3". And he started talking to me about, like, go back and, like, look at when we were kids. You know, our heroes were, better. Our heroes, Arnold, Sylvester. When you go back and look at the bodybuilders in those days, like the Dorian Yates days, like go back and watch Blood and Guts, and go back and like look and research some DC style training. He's like, man, this is how I've always trained. I train with maximum intensity to failure.
Yeah.
I do a body part a day. And the idea that I kind of started looking at, comparing it to like the RP approach, is that with complete annihilation of a body part, and I mean failure. Like I did a workout in here with a guy that, you know, it sucks. He's getting there, but you got 7 reps left when you're ready to quit.
Yeah.
Like that's not failure. That's 7 reps in reserve.
Yeah.
4 reps in reserve. I want 0.
Yeah.
I want that bar to stop moving under your power, and then I'm coming in for 3 more forced reps.
Yeah.
So we started training that way, and my physique took off.
Yeah.
Started eating, started sleeping, and started training and approaching physique workouts like training.
Yeah.
So standardizing everything across the board. And I've kept movements the same for probably the last year, close to it, with very slight variations in angles.
Yeah.
So, I mean, literally the same pressing in a Smith rack or on a machine that we can when it's available, right?
Yeah.
You're in a public gym. And I think that's something else that a lot of people need to consider in their training is keeping the skill to a minimum so that you can have constantly repeated output.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that, you know, if you can take that variable off the table, then all we're looking at again is load over time, reps and sets. Because now we've adopted this training philosophy that intensity is going to be high regardless.
Yeah.
Even your back off sets are to mechanical failure.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference here. I don't advocate everyone to train to failure, but if you're an experienced lifter, somebody who's been in the gym long enough to be able to approach the things that we talked about last time, control, style, and grace. If you can keep those 3 checkpoints in mind and take a set of hack squats to the point where you're not making that last rep and you're okay with that. Mm-hmm. You're not afraid that you're going to get injured. You trust your training partners.
Yeah.
There's a shit ton of growth there. Then you learn. Excuse me. You learn what really that rep from failure means. So that whenever you decide that life's a little crazy and you need to go to like a maintenance block, like the holidays or something, you don't have to take it to failure, everyone, because you know where 3 reps from failure really is, and that's a much more recoverable model. So it changed everything from an intensity standpoint.
Yeah.
And not meaning load, because load's irrelevant. I'm disheartened that I'm as strong as I am, and I'm not that strong, because I have to use 2 plates, 3 plates on this or that to get a desired effect for 11 reps. I'd much rather just have one plate on the bar. That'd be way easier, way safer. But
so what is a normal? All right. So what is a normal? Say hack squat, pendulum squat. What is the reps and sets for the working set?
Mm-hmm.
Is that I know it's a failure, but like, what is the range?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then on the drop sets, what are the range? Because the drop sets range a little differently, possibly, or are they the same?
Possibly. So the ultimate goal always is.
And like body part might vary, like you said, arms, like
it's
all the same.
All the same. So the ultimate goal is 9 to 11 at failure. So around rep 7 or 11, you want to be questioning if you're going to make it through this set.
Yeah.
If you're at like 3 or 4 and you're moving way too fast, go ahead and stop. Put some more weight on there.
Yeah.
3 working sets mainly. Just because of volume is something that I've learned that health-wise, I don't recover really well from.
Yeah.
That's what weightlifting taught us. Like, volume beats me to death. So I get maybe 3 main motions. Tomorrow's Monday, so let's go through chest.
Yeah.
So I'll start with some sort of a mechanically advantaged incline press, something that's super stable. Mm-hmm. Hammer strength incline, typically. Look at the logbook, realize what my weight was last week, and look at the reps. So if that first set's at like 13, I'm going up this week.
Yeah.
That set was at 9, I'll repeat the number.
Yeah, until you go, until you get 10 or 11.
13, 14 is usually like the sign to go ahead and go up in weight.
Go up in weight, okay.
9's acceptable. In a big compound movement, that slides down to like 6 and 7 being really acceptable, and 12 being way too many.
Yeah.
Like a really super heavy back squat. And taking into account all this means that your range of motion and everything is standard, right? Yeah. There's no cutting a rep short.
There's no deviation, full lockout.
Bingo. Or,
I know what you mean,
where
but
people feel safe.
Yeah.
I don't want people
but
hyperextending their knees.
Like full, good range of motion.
Correct.
Not
repeatable
quarter reps.
Repeatable range of motion, right? And that'll improve over time as well as people don't learn. Like we've got a young lifter, our barber, shout out to Max. He's come along with us for like the last 6 months. And you'll see that his range of motion is actually increasing if you watch his recordings, because he's getting stronger in range. So he's actually more comfortable to go to a range of motion that previously wasn't really that possible for him. So we'll go through. Say we do an incline press, maybe a flat press, but never like a bench press. I don't bench anymore.
Yeah,
shoulders don't need it.
And to be honest with you, it's probably not to go to failure on something like that. It's probably not the safest for your shoulders, biceps, pecs. Like, it's not worth it. That's why you do machines. Like,
certainly not.
Like, you're not a power lifter. You're not a weightlifter. You're not a strong man. You're there to get bigger,
right, and
look better.
Right.
So why not do something that's gonna be safer, to where if you do fail, you just drop it.
Well, you want exactly. Why even risk highly repeatable over time, right? So you want that to be able to be repeated the next Monday. You don't want to have to take that time off. And we do have those little injuries pop up where you may lose a set a week because you have an issue. So just make a little note in your logbook.
Yeah. So hold on 1 second.
Okay.
All right. And we're back from our sponsor, non-sponsor break.
We're going to have a couple of those. All right. So what does a training session look like? The goal, without having to go through each exercise, and I will for this chest day because I know somebody out there wants to mimic it. Shout out Training Log Podcast. Go watch me train. The goal is always each working set, and this is where it's really important for your training partner to like kind of check with you too, is if you're doing an exercise and you're at 5-6 warm-up reps, you want to know like, hey man, is this a working set? Are we working here? And you'll hear me say that in a lot of my videos. Are you working here? And then, no. And you just kind of give your training partner a nod. So the goal is always 9 to 11 reps of under your force production to failure, to mechanical failure, right? Yeah. You can leverage your body and create some body English to get an additional rep. You don't need that, right? That's what your training partner's for. Yeah. So you'll see on an incline press, like a hammer strength or something that's really safe where you have an ability to grab onto the actual handles and help move, right? You know where that sticking point is as a good training partner. Mm-hmm. You watch some of our videos and like I'm actually trailing the bar with my hand because I'm not even really watching. I'm waiting on that rhythm to slow down and I'm going to start applying the least amount of force to get
just
you
so
over
you can get through it.
Because from a hypertrophy standpoint, your muscles don't really know that you didn't produce all that force because they're still pushing against the resistance. Yeah. So they're still recruiting motor units, and it's still getting that stimulus of this asshole is going to do this again next week. We need to get bigger and stronger. So we'll do a set of 9 to 11, and then there's at least 2 working sets. Now, I've recently, for hamstrings, went and added in stiff leg deadlifts with just a regular bar. Yeah. And that is I train first thing in the morning, 5:36. That is entirely too taxing. So I've only done 2 working sets for the past 4 weeks. Yeah. There's no need for me to put a third set in there right now because it would just fry me.
Yeah.
And that's just from having good training age and knowing that, like, I can get more volume on a ham curl or a prone curl than I need here right now.
Yeah.
So 9 to 11 reps, usually 3 working sets. Now, if you begin to start losing to the logbook, or you can just tell that that third set is not going to be really efficient, really useful,
Drop it off.
back down set.
Yeah.
So pull off a percentage of weight and then keep your rep range at 7 to 11, or look at doing some sort of an intensity variable. A rest pause, a drop set, a strip set, a giant set, a cluster set.
Yeah.
All these different intensity variables that you can continue to push that last set where your mechanical force production is now weathered.
Yeah.
And then you just move to a different plane of motion or a different angle. So chest fly, incline, flat, whatever it may be for this particular muscle group.
So, all right, so that was with your chest stuff. So where, with your working sets, you have 3 working sets. Does that include your drop sets, or is like just depends on how y'all feel that day? If you do a drop set,
drop sets are rarely used, and usually it's a fatigue management.
like if you're fucked up that day, like you guys kind of, all right, we'll probably get like 1 good set in, and we'll do a couple drop sets.
Always at least 2.
Yeah.
It's usually 3 straight sets because we're growing.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of people, like your young kids especially, will see this. Like my Gymshark bros that are in there with that same Patrick Mahomes haircut.
Yeah.
Get a different haircut. They'll do every intensity variable necessary because training can be boring.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a repeated stimulus that your body has to learn to adapt to. Right? So there was a big guy. I was doing dumbbell RDLs, and there was a big guy in there. Great physique, like a big man, a guy who's not new to training.
Yeah.
Made the classic comment, you got to keep the muscle guessing. And I kind of was an asshole. I was like, dude, the muscle doesn't need to be guessed. The muscle needs to know that there's more load coming next week, asshole.
Yeah.
Get stronger.
Yeah.
Like this idea of confusing the muscle is great whenever the stimulus is no longer applicable.
Yeah.
Right? So if you are growing and getting stronger week to week at this incline chest press machine.
Yeah. I mean, if it's working, you don't stop until it stops working.
Why?
Why would you
Right.
change it?
Soft tissue injuries,
Yeah.
or you stop beating the logbook.
Yeah.
So it goes back to, if you're not tracking your workouts, just like you're not tracking your calories, don't tell me you can't lose weight.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you can't get stronger or build your physique when you're not writing anything down.
Yeah.
How do you know what you did last week?
Yeah.
What setting? My high school, or not my high school, my college, when we were fighting at App, we couldn't make it through the university gym. So I went to a public gym in the town, and the guy that ran the place, bless his heart, got me into like bodybuilding mindset real early.
Yeah.
And really laid this foundation of a principle that I believe in, of like building muscle and then training muscle if you're a sports specific athlete. Now all I want to do is build muscle. But for fighting back in the day, we couldn't go up a weight class where I didn't want to. So we would get as strong as we could at a weight, and then, it's 6 months of weight training, then you go do your Muay Thai practice for a tournament. He had this idea, and he taught me to write down everything about the workout to the notch of where your seat position is, so it's highly replicable.
Yeah.
Like if you have the seat at the 4th hole, make a note of that in your notebook.
Yeah.
Until it's just ingrained that that's where that angle of your leg press is.
Yeah.
And because eventually, unless you train at Ant Performance Mobile, where there's a ton of variation just in the equipment itself.
Oh yeah, we have, I think, 5 different leg presses.
Yeah, dude. I don't have that back home.
Yeah.
Especially if you're at Club 4 or one of these places where especially that wannabe hack squat where you only have the low back support, that glorified leg extension.
Yeah.
That's a bad example, but imagine that they have that leg press, that Cybex leg press.
Yeah.
If you change that back pad angle, that changes your hip angle.
Yeah.
So in the least degree, that is variation.
Yeah.
That is something that you can use down the line in a meso when you're just tired of doing this leg press. Maybe you go to like a super closed hip angle and that's going to shorten the range of motion naturally, and then that's going to be a different variation in that leg press.
Yeah.
Perhaps you play with your feet stance, or your feet placement on the platform. Narrow versus wide, high versus low, biasing the glute, biasing the hamstring.
Yeah.
It's all these different variations that when you're just doing your accessory lifts as like a weightlifter, you're just like, all right, tricep push downs.
Yeah.
Like a tricep push down out, like a V-bar push down out towards, like from, if you're at a slight back angle, let's say 6 inches from the belt to the belt, that 6 inches is a completely different stimulus on the tricep.
No, and it feels different. It's just like, if you want to talk about tricep extension, it doesn't matter if it's like a V or a straight bar or whatever, but if you're just like underneath just pushing down like this compared to this,
Oh, yeah.
this is way more taxing. This is going to crush you because it's all tricep. This is shoulder,
A little bit, yeah.
tricep, a little bit of everything, forearm, where here it's like you are just pushing down. Kind of like you were talking about yesterday about doing a strict push down on the lat pullover machine to just hit your triceps,
Just a little different angle, yeah.
But I think that's what a lot of people don't realize, and especially young kids, is intensity is so huge when it comes to whatever you're doing. Like you don't have, like you said, you don't have to change it up every week, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. Eventually you change it up, especially when it comes to more performance stuff. You have to change it up every once in a while. But if you're on bodybuilding, if you keep progressing, or like even weightlifting or powerlifting, like if 5x5 works for you, and you're every month when you start it back over, you are getting stronger. Like you can go up 2%. Why would you change anything until it doesn't work anymore? So you do a block and it's like, you know what, we need to change it up.
If you can add a pound a week to a lift, over a year, and you can do that over a decade, congratulations.
It's a lot of weight.
You're the strongest man in the world, and you probably just won the Olympia.
Yeah.
So and this is, I think we haven't really talked about this, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but my target audience, the reason I do any of this shit is because I literally have thought about this with a little help from introspection. I want to be able to find the people. I want to find the Travis 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to shorten that timeline of where it took me to get to here over a decade. If I can help cut it down for you to 5 years, I'm a happy person. So that's the only reason I even run some of this like social media and have these conversations on recorded, because we talk about this off air.
Yeah.
Is I want to help the next generation.
Yeah, like if one person asks for help and it helps them, then fuck
that's
you
it.
did what you want. And that's kind of like
I'm so happy. That's what I do for a job.
That's kind of why I have the gym. It's like I tell these kids that come to class or do custom program or anything like that, you've got to push it. Like your 45-minute workouts at school are great.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get hurt if you go to Club 4, you go to YMCA, you come here, you do this, you do that, you go to Planet Fitness, you put another 90 minutes of just crushing it in. You're 16, 17 years old. You're never going to get sore. You're going to recover. Like, you have to do that. Because I tell them when I was a kid from, I guess you would say 9th grade, because that's when high school, but I started training when I was in 6th grade with a Bowflex and some concrete plates, the old school stuff. But like from 9th grade all the way through college, but like really like high school, I can attest to this. I would have workouts after school for like 90 minutes, whatever, the typical football workouts. Then I would stay another 30, 40 minutes or whatever till they shut the weight room down. Then I would go to the YMCA for another 2 hours. Every day I would do that. And by the time I was for sure 16, I benched 405, squat 500, could deadlift over 600 pounds. Clean 300 some pounds, over like 360. And then senior year, I was benching 440. Squat still never got to where it was now, but I think it's just lever-wise, just being taller.
Yeah.
But the deadlift kept growing. I can remember at the YMCA, I did 615 for a double, like without a belt when I was 17 years old, right? And then I cleaned 385 from a hang.
That's crazy.
My senior year, like going into football or whatever. But I equate a lot of that to, did I do the smartest training? No. I got the Flex magazines. I would do that bullshit at the gym and stuff. But I did my sports performance, and then I would go do the bodybuilding style stuff and just get the volume in and just push it every day as hard as I could. And what happened? I got super fucking strong. Never really got hurt till my senior year of college. And then now with my shoulder, but like, these kids don't want to do that. The coaches don't want them to do that. They're like, oh, we're getting enough in this 45-minute workout. Really? You're getting enough in 45 minutes in the weight room from your warm-up to your stretching to your cool-down? It's like 45 minutes. Like, no, you're not. You have to do extra work. Be smart about it. Like, I'd never went and bench press or squatted. If I did that at school, I would always just do the machines or dumbbells, kettlebells, or barbell stuff, but no, like, true loading stuff like a bench press or a squat. But, like, if these kids, they just need to learn to put the work in and not settle for, oh, I did enough at school today.
It's different population because you're dealing with athletes.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that I see that I'm trying to really target my message to are the gym bros.
Yeah.
The younger gym bros, because they love this too. They understand that this is cheaper than therapy. and that, anything outside these doors is just as hard. If we come in here and start our day with something hard, then their day's easy.
Yeah.
I have a desk job that sucks. So by working out first thing in the morning, the day's easy.
Yeah.
And I've already chose to do something hard. I went and sought something difficult.
Yeah.
So you see these kids, and there's been a change in the last few years, and I have a theory as to why. But you saw in the last few years, there's a generation between us and like the golden era guys.
Yeah.
And that's when they started, I think we really started getting like more social media and stuff where people were marketing all these in high variable intensity workouts, like all the HIIT training and like supersetting everything, and which it has place. There's a time for metabolite.
Yeah.
But the literature's pretty strong. Your body really adapts to metabolite training. What we mean by metabolite training is if you are training for specifically just a pump. So a drop set, superset, blood flow restriction.
Yeah.
Those are metabolites because it's trapping the blood in the muscle. It's not letting it escape because the pump is so hard. There's not as much circulation. Yeah. And then that presence of lactic acid, so on and so forth, is actually a driver for hypertrophy because it's metabolically damaging to the cell. Yeah. So the cell gets more robust, stronger, so they can handle that damage next time. Very much like mechanical force.
Yeah.
When we pull the muscle apart by contracting it and the eccentric, it gets stronger and bigger. Welcome to Biomechanics 101.
Yeah.
Okay. So you'd see kids doing these drop sets, and especially like everyone knows the guy that's doing a drop set at 6 p.m. He's on the cable crossover and the bench press. Like, what are we doing, right?
Yeah.
And they train with intensity. They want to train with intensity, but they don't have the other things accounted for, right? They don't have control, style, and grace. All they have is pre-workout and ammonia salt.
Yeah.
So they're all over the place, half repping, you're grunting and screaming and throwing weights, and that's great. I'm glad that your heart's in it. Train hard, man. But if I can help you, my encouragement would be turn all that off, get into your muscle, and then bring the intensity.
Yeah.
Right? Don't be grunting because you want the set to be over. Be grunting because you can't get enough air in to oxygenate your blood to produce another contraction.
Yeah.
So there's been a recent switch that I've noticed in just my people watching of people training is that there's a big change of these kids, particularly the ones who have great physiques, like there's a 16 to 19-year-old class that have like some pretty good physiques for these little kids now.
The SARM crew.
Hopefully they're on SARMs. I was about to go there. Hopefully this isn't the SARM crew. If you think that someone has told you that SARMs are not going to affect your body, you're being lied to. Don't do that. If you ever think about supplementing your hormones, wait until you're in the 30s. When you're 3, you get a T. That's my advice to anyone. Yeah. When you got the 30s you can look for getting test replacement. Yeah. But yeah, good luck destroying yourself. And
but also, like, if you're going to spend, here you go. Like, I mean, everybody knows I can't because of, I mean, I could get tested anytime, especially when I compete, or if you medal, you're going to get tested right off stage. But if you're going to do something, why would you spend $80 on a SARM when you could spend $80 on straight up testosterone from CVS that you could get prescribed, or you could find it somewhere, but it's the real thing.
Or $50.
Or like, you know,
and your health insurance will cover it, and it comes from a lab, and it's chemically what your body is known to break down and utilize, as opposed to some weird thing that's like messing with a receptor.
Yeah, they take one thing away, so it's not this, but it's not quite the real thing. Or even just messing with like peptides that come from a lab that are, you know, some peptides come from the human body that they reworked so that you can take them. But
if you're 19, if you're 16,
but you have, and with that, with being so young, you have so much testosterone running through your body. That's why I was so strong, and that's why I'm strong now. And we can rant on this after we finish talking about this, like what you want to talk about. I was so strong because I had so much testosterone running through my body when I was like 14 to 18. Like, I just pushed it so hard that I constantly got bigger, stronger, faster. I was recovering. I was pushing. I didn't need anything. Like, I took creatine, glutamine. I took all that stuff.
Sure.
But, like, that was just, you know, that was what athletes do for recovery. Like, that helps you get bigger, faster, stronger. But I didn't need the testosterone or SARMs or any of the crazy stuff they had even then, because I always, like, every week I got stronger. Right. And I got bigger. And I got faster. And I got more veins. And I got tighter. And I was like, this is fucking good. I'm jumping higher. I'm running faster. Why would you not just use what your body can do? Because when you take the SARMs, you take the testosterone when you're 16, 17, 18, 19, even in your mid-20s, like, at some point when you come off of that, like, you're going to be really fucked. Like you're not gonna have you're gonna have to really be on stuff your whole life now.
Yeah. And it's not going to be as effective. There's no free ride. It's a system, right? So if you introduce something into the system that was not like an energy system, we can use an example. If you you can't just create out of nothing, right? There's a cost to it. So if you are introducing something to the system exogenously outside of the body, as opposed to being made inside the body, then there's a fee that's going to be paid at some point down that line. And if you don't wrestle with what that fee is going to be, good luck. And why is it important to you to have a half-made physique at 16 when you could look like a phenom at 24 if you just kept working?
No, for sure.
So it's one of those things where that 16 to 19-year-old SARM crew, I hope this message gets to you because you got a lot of learning to do. You got a lot to clean up and a lot of gains that you can made. I mean, you probably eat a completely different diet when you were 16 than these kids are eating. You cannot get big. I mean, you can get calories from Taco Bell, but don't think you're going to be building lean protein or lean muscle. I don't care what influencer, what Rich Piana taught you guys. It doesn't matter.
Well, and at the same time, they're not eating enough food.
They're not
the
eating.
Kids aren't. Because I see it with the kids in high school from guys and girls. They act like they're eating. And I'm like, what?
You're not eating.
You're not eating anything.
And it's one of those things, too, where, we used to say this on the weightlifting team because, everyone's tested is 9 hours of sleep is a steroid.
Yeah.
Like, if you can get 9 hours of sleep a night, that is a steroid. Yeah. And it's a legal one. So what are you doing? You're up playing Fortnite or something? Why? Yeah. Why is that important to you when you're complaining about your progress in the gym?
Yeah. It's very, I don't know, it's frustrating, like, especially like you said about the diet, because these kids, they think they're eating enough, they're doing this. It's like, dude, look, if you're going to eat shitty, but eat a lot of shitty food. Eat a lot of calories. Eat a lot. Because, like, I'll have kids, I'm tired, I can't gain weight, well, you're not getting, because you're not eating anything. Like, just because you have a big dinner doesn't mean you're eating a lot.
Or they're tired because they're eating so much crappy food.
So, like, I can, like, attest, like, in high school, I'd have breakfast or whatever. I'd probably have, like, 5 snacks a day. My mom worked at school, so it was a little easier for me to have some extra stuff. But, like, I would have, like, sandwiches all throughout the day. Mm-hmm. I'd eat, I'd probably, like, 3,000 to 4,000 calories a day in high school. Like, when there was track meets, I'd have big biscuits, 2 of them with sausage and cheese and egg. I ate so much food because I was doing so much work. Right. And I could have ate cleaner, of course, but at the same time, I was 16, 17. Like, I was burning it off. Like, but I used those calories for training, for track, for football, for wrestling, for working out. And these kids, they want to have their little carb shake before they work out, and they want to go, have their McDonald's afterwards so they can, get their nutrients in, like, shock their system. But it's like, just eat a lot of food, do it right majority of the time, and you'll see the difference, and you'll feel better.
Agreed. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and finish that point.
All right, and we're back. So
break number 2.
So we're talking about the kids, talking about how they train and their philosophy. Oh, I know what I was going to talk about. So it's like kind of goes back to the gym bro, Instagram, clout, always posting videos, which is fine. Like, who cares about that? But I think it all goes back to, like, intensity of training. So, for instance, like, the past 4 months before I had shoulder surgery, when I'd go to, like, Club 4, which is the Globo gym here in town, I would pretty much do triceps and biceps. That's all I could do. I would do legs, too, but, like, I couldn't do any shoulders, couldn't do any chest because I wanted this to heal, which it did heal up a lot prior to surgery. But I could go in and get 300 and some reps in, like, crush it, like, my single arm joints with just cable stuff in less than 20 minutes, and there's people still on the same machine.
Yeah.
And I think that is a huge mistake. These people want to be in the gym for 3-4 hours a day training, but they really only did like 20 minutes of work. You know what I mean? Like, you start people watching at these gyms and like, man, like, fuck.
I'm probably a little guilty of this myself, though.
Yeah. I mean, we all get locked into that. But it's like you look at I see the same people every time I go in there doing the same bullshit, taking forever, sitting on a bench, not really doing stuff, do a set here. And it's like, I'm in there. 1
working set and 3 sets of Instagram.
Yeah, and I'm like in there doing my tricep or bicep work, and it's like nonstop. Like, just I don't take a rest. I just go, so I can get in and out. And it's like, man, like, they wonder why they don't see, say, physique or health or performance changes. It's because the intent of training isn't there. What's your intent? I try to tell these kids at school, like, hey, like, what's your intent when you want to squat? Are you just going through the motions, or you're trying to move the bar as fast as you can? Like, if I hear the bar rattle, then you're probably getting better. If I don't hear it and you're just going through the motions, like, you're just wasting my time. wasting your coach's time, wasting your time, and you wonder why you're still fat and slow, can't move. It's frustrating, and you can't really tell the kids that because it's not a good look. But at some point, like
I wish we could though.
you have to. Well, that's the good thing about having a private facility is once a kid really buys in. So usually, like if a kid comes to my class, within like a month, really like you can tell if a kid's going to buy into it. So if they really buy into the training, it's like okay, and I know they're going to be here long term, like throughout the summer or fall, as long as they don't have like a sport. It's like, all right, what can I transition to? Weightlifting or just straight up true strength training with deadlifting, box squatting, front squatting, regular squatting, bench press. So there's the two avenues I push a kid depending on how they move and kind of like if they buy in.
Yeah, what their interests are. It's funny that you say that, man, because I don't know if this ever came out. This is a funny story. I was it had to be the last month before I left here. I was training on the end down there. You had a group of female volleyball players. You had one of your interns, like having them go through a strength circuit.
Yeah.
And I was doing something on the end down there close to the reverse hypers. Maybe like, man, I forget. I was doing something, probably upper body, shoulder something. And kind of making a bit of an ass of myself, a little grunting, little force production.
Yeah.
Making some sounds. And I heard the two girls talking kind of under their breath when the instructor was paying attention. Like, this is stupid. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
I just had a mood in me that day. I was like, do you want to play volleyball in college? They're like, yeah, that's my goal. I was like, you're never going to make it. And they looked at me like I just spit in their face. It's like, you're never going to make it. She goes, and so I just continue the point. I was like, the fact that you even think that, like the way that you're doing these goblet squats or whatever is stupid. You're not going to make it. Like, you got somebody out here who's offered to build a facility and train you in Jake, and he has these coaches, in Chasen or whoever it may be at the time, to lead you through these exercises, and you're giving 20% of the effort. Like, that's not what's going to make you great.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious if they're still following you, and I'm curious because they were an older group. If you left high school, and did you make it? Because I bet you didn't. And it's hard to tell people that, but man, sometimes it helps to hear it because that could be all it takes to turn someone around.
No, and with that point, with any of the girls, the volleyball girls that we've trained in high school, because that's the main sport I work with is volleyball. I work with all sports, but volleyball is the main one where we crush them.
Quite a few state champions, right?
I mean, we go to state every year, win state championships. Different schools, but like the main one that we work with, I mean, they go every year to the finals. If they win, they win. If they don't, they don't. But every girl that went off to play in college, like major D1, D1 AA, it doesn't matter where they go, the training in college is way easier and it's nothing compared to what we did in high school. And that's the goal. It's like,
yeah, you're welcome.
Like, hey, like we're doing this because if you want to play in college, you have to understand that it's going to be hard. And you would hope that a college program is harder than what you do in high school, but I've been in college. I know what it is. I know it's not what to give the girls so they know they have to do extra stuff because they're not going to get all of it in.
Yeah.
And every single one of them, when they come back, it's like, it's way easier. Like, we need to train when we come back for winter break, spring break, summer break, because we're not doing enough. The intensity is not there.
Right.
And the ones that are playing college are grateful for us busting their ass and making them suffer and feeling uncomfortable because, they're winning conference championships, they're becoming conference players of the year, they're going to, volleyball national championship, like the series or whatever it's called. I mean, it's worth it. And the kids that think, why am I doing this? Well, if you want to play, you're not going to make it in college. I don't know how you make it in high school. Like,
well, do any high school programs really cut people anymore? I mean, unless they have a roster spot, like anyone can play.
I mean, like, so really the only sports that really cut people are like volleyball and baseball, just because there's only so many roster spots. But at the same time, like, if a lot of it too is like buddy system. Does your mom or your daddy know somebody, and they're going to be on the team just because of that? Where I can say, like, at one of the schools that we work with, like, it's not that. Like, it doesn't give a fuck. Like,
do you think that being able to struggle is a learnable skill, is a teachable skill?
I think it's teachable. I think it's learnable, but I don't know. Everyone's different. Something has to happen.
I'll say this because there's definitely the examples are there, like Buds, Hell Week. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
the population matters.
There's something that has to happen for someone to become a teachable moment. Like we have a young youth weightlifter in here, and it hasn't clicked yet. You can motherfuck him, yell at him, tell him everything, and like it'll click that day. And like and it sucks that I have to fucking yell at him every single day because I don't like coaching like that. Like with all my others, it's like, hey, like that was a crappy set. Let's do this, fix it. Come on, get your fucking mind right, and let's go. But with the young one, like it just doesn't click ever, and it's like always something you have to yell at him about. But when you yell at him, it clicks. But it's like he hasn't had the moment where he had like it grasped, where he learned it. It's just like you're trying to teach, like these are trying to be teachable moments, but for every individual, it's different. I think you have to have that oh fuck moment. Like for instance, like when I played football, I was in middle school, first year playing, started when I was 12 on like the 8th grade team. I had the oh fuck moment of getting the shit knocked out of me, and like I didn't go back in the game. Like I was a puss about it. But like from that day forward, I was like, I'm either gonna do it or I'm not. That was my oh fuck moment. No matter what would happen when it comes to training, football, like that was the oh fuck moment. Like I'm either gonna progress or I'm not gonna progress. You know what I mean? Everybody has that moment. And then once that moment happens, then I think that it's teachable. But until that moment occurs, I don't think it's because everybody's different. Like you don't know. Like I said with the youth, like it's every day you have to get onto him about something because he just doesn't listen or doesn't learn or doesn't get the concept of what we're trying to do until someone comes in here that's his same age, same weight, and whoops his ass, or he gets his ass beat in school and it's like fight or flight.
Yeah, that's where wrestling's really helpful.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what happened with Tristan too. Like I never really had to ever yell at him, but I think when he started wrestling. He had the oh fuck moments of like someone who's not as strong, not as big, fucked him up.
Or the same age, same weight.
Yeah.
I should have a chance here, and you get ragged on.
And exactly. And that was like probably his fight or flight. And that's when he started to actually show emotions on the platform. Before, if you would miss, he'd be like, yeah.
There's no consequences.
Now it's like he gets fucking mad, and it's due to something in wrestling. He had that teachable moment that now he learned from. Now he can learn when you give him more teachable moments because he understands it. But like I said, I think for everybody, there's something that has to happen mentally. And everybody's different, but like you said, buds. Like, I mean, that's a great, like, you fucking go through buds. Like that's all teachable. Like, I mean, when I was at South, we had, what was it called? What's the Navy SEAL thing?
Hell Week?
No. Like the people that come around, that go drive around, it's that.
Instructors?
No, people pay for it to get the shit beat out of them. Okay. SEAL Fit. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
SEAL Fit came before they started going to schools. When I was a grad assistant, the video guy, like they came to South. Like they came twice. The second time was kind of soft. They had to like bring it back a little bit because the first time
they broke people off.
They fucking wrecked kids from 4 p.m. till 6 a.m. the next morning, nonstop. And like they wrecked them, but that was a great learning experience for those kids because there was nobody really on the staff at that time that could like motherfuck them or yell at them that they really gave a shit about. But like you're not going to go off on these guys because they didn't give a fuck. They would put your dick in the dirt. Yeah. And like
they're not here for a paycheck.
And like nobody's talked back. And it was a great learning experience for those kids. And there was a lot of teachable, and they learned. And then the rest of the time that those kids were there, they had a lot of teachable moments so they could understand that concept from,
There's a lot that you can be upset about social media for, but there's also a ton that you could be grateful for. And one of the things I'm grateful for is to have the opportunity to be introduced to people like David Goggins, who has been able to conceptualize this idea of like most people quit at 40%.
Yeah.
And if you can just wrestle with that for yourself, like think about, I can find examples that are applicable, now, but think about even just in the past, like most people are going to quit at 40%. Think about something yourself, a set of squats or hack squats or something is a great example of this. Most people want out at 40%.
Yeah.
To bring this back to bodybuilding, Arnold said it, once he started counting when it started burning, right? Yeah. Because that's the only thing that really matters. So to be able to be teachable, to preserve or to persevere, to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations, I think is a teachable skill that a lot of people overlook. And sometimes you just need to be taught that through, a brutal programming, 6 weeks of 5-3-1 or whatever it may be, or your summer doing Jefferson squats or whatever you're doing. But I think that's where I call it, control and grace. I think that's where a lot of people need to be able to turn off that, my God, this hurts.
Yeah.
And this isn't fun, and buy into the idea of like, this is what I need to improve.
Yeah.
right? This is the dose that's prescribed for improvement.
No,
Right?
for sure.
So if you're on blood pressure medication, you don't double the dose for double the effect. That's silly. You don't take half of the prescribed dose and think you're going to get double the effect.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think one thing too that would really help people nowadays, which kind of might sound silly to some people, but like if more people did like 2 months of CrossFit and like legit CrossFit, like because there's going to come the moment with every athlete who's doing a CrossFit workout, as long as it's like a solid programming, like hard but good, that's going to be like fucking fight or flight. And this is a teachable moment. Are you going to learn from it or not? You're either going to go past it or you're going to puss out.
I kind of agree.
You know, if it doesn't matter what your discipline is, if you do like just a couple weeks of that, there's going to be that moment where it's like, are you going to go or are you going to stop? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can remember specifically trying to like partition out like 300 air squats. And you get down to the point where like, all right, I'm going to do 15 this set. I'm going to shake it out, and then we'll do like another set of 10.
Yeah.
Maybe. And this is a great little example. Like, try this, listeners. Like, go tell yourself you're going to do 100 air squats. And instead of doing 10 sets of 10, you can do that one day and then come back on Thursday and try this again.
Yeah.
Try to do a set, as many as you can in like a giant set. And whenever you start feeling like, man, I'm about to stop here, just literally tell yourself you're going to do 2 more and then stop counting.
Yeah.
And just stop counting and just see how many more you could actually do as opposed to being so tied to a number. Like, I'm going to do a set of 10, and I know I can do 10. So I know at 11 it's difficult.
Yeah.
Maybe not. And CrossFit's a great example. It's honestly where I kind of started playing with this idea. And someone else talked about it, not in the scope of bodybuilding, but they started talking about, like, barriers. I forget who this was. They said something to the degree of like this 40% model, like once you break through like one barrier of like, man, I need to stop here. I can't, 10 squats, my legs are burning. There's no way I can do 20. But if you do, or if you try to and you get more, you realize, okay, well, I actually made it through that. Where's that next wall that I'm going to run into? And can I get through that one?
Yeah.
And man, you can start making tremendous improvements in your performance, your physique, your training, your daily life, just by realizing that, like, as soon as you bump up against any resistance, Ryan Holiday wrote this book, The Stoic, the obstacle is the way.
Yeah.
The path is the prize. The struggle is what we're here for. So as soon as you can start to manifest that and look for it, it's a whole lot easier to take this whole training thing and progress and really evolve. And use this iron, like Henry Rollins said, it's your best friend.
No, and I think too, like you said, there's that point where once you push through of the pyramid, you can keep going up because it gets easier, right? So, like for weightlifting, for instance, for most people, it's like, all right, you clean 2 blues. That's
especially
like
for ladies, like
ladies,
you get to that
2
100
blues.
kilo,
or like guys, like you snatch 2 reds. Like that's a goal. You want to put 2 slabs of beef on there. Once you do that, all right, then all of a sudden that might be hard as fuck the first time you get it, but then the next day, like even if you miss it, you're pulling it way faster.
Was that 120?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can put 122 on there and like, well, that's actually 5 more pounds, but
yeah, even if you like you're now all of a sudden you have the confidence to pull it faster. Same thing, like so with me, it was once I did, what was it? Once I got above 160 the first time, then I was confident in doing it a lot. Even though I may have missed here and there, missed stuff, but like pulling it from variations, from blocks, from hangs, from the floor, over 160 was like, okay, if I miss it, I miss it, but like I'll come back and I'll make it. I know I will. You know what I mean?
Exposure therapy.
So then now it's like, all right, now it's with me. It's like when I get back, it's like, all right, it's going to be a slow process, but it's going to be, 2 reds on the snatch for my shoulder for confidence. And it's going to be 2 reds and a green. Then it's going to be 2 reds, a green, and a little red. And then it'll be a yellow. And then slowly work my way back up. Or like with clean and jerks, like, fuck, like the one, everybody wants to get the 184, 185. Like that's what you want, the 407. Everybody wants that.
400.
Once you do that.
Take a little pause.
Pause. All right, and we're back.
A little camera switch. To bring you back in, you were talking about rehabbing the shoulder and building back up your total and chasing what every weightlifter wants. Just like the gym bros. You want to bench 2 plates, and then eventually bench 3 plates. And I think all of our weightlifters, the first milestone is that 400-pound clean. So
No.
183, 184?
Yeah,
kilos?
so I think the biggest thing is once you hit it the first time, even if you don't hit it again for a while, you're not afraid to get under the bar.
Right.
You're gonna try it. You're gonna do it. You're gonna work off that number. So once you break that plateau, then you have the confidence to do more. Even if you don't ever do more, you're gonna always have the confidence. But it's always that first time that you put three reds on there and a green, or with me, it's like 440 was like huge. Just like I know I could fucking do it, but just like mentally, it was like a block.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck, it was a block.
Yeah.
And after I did it the first time, when I actually made it, then I wasn't afraid to get under it again.
Mm-hmm.
And then I, progressed up to almost 460. Like I think 457 was my best. Right.
There's a reason why coaches program, 100 plus percentage on your pulls is so that you shake hands with that bar.
Yeah.
And pulling under is a different one. Like your weightlifting is a very unique thing where, there is all the hypertrophy drivers as well, but you also have to deal with the confidence and the skill to be in the right positions at the right time to execute.
And that's one thing I like about when I train my elite guys or college guys or high school guys that really buy into it, who are more sports performance and not weightlifters, doing some sort of, say for bench, for instance, like a board press, a floor press, something where that you can overload them. Mm-hmm. So I have a couple guys coming in now who, they bench 315, one benches 330. Like, all right, well, we're going to get the 330 guy close to 400 by season. We're going to get you two that are doing 315 to 365 by summer, like by season, before summer balls, before August starts, before camp starts. But if you don't ever put anything in your hands that feel like that, you're not going to have the confidence. So we did some high board presses. They did one did 365, he missed 380, I think, but it was a good miss. And the other one, did 330 or 340. It's the most weight they've ever held in their hands. Mm-hmm. So their nervous system's used to that. And another powerlifter I have, who is a straight powerlifter, who has a couple, I'm not quite sure if Aaron has national titles.
Is this the guy that's a state champ?
Yeah, I know he's a state champ. I know he has Mississippi records. He might have national records. I know he has a national title as a junior, I believe. But I don't know if he has.
It's like 81 kilo?
No. This is a big guy. He's a heavyweight. But I don't know. But anyways, he's really strong. His records either state or nationally, right? But his goal is we want to get him as close to 500 pounds before he's out of the junior class or whatever, right? I think he has another year or two before he has to compete as a true senior. Or maybe it's past that, or he wants to get to 500 pounds, vice versa, whatever the case may be. So we've been working on not any true benching, not any true squatting, but some sort of variation for to save his shoulders and stuff. A lot of board, the block. Mm-hmm. So we have a Elite FTS one, which is a 2-inch block once it compresses on him. So we did a variation of that for a week, and then we kept adding stuff. And then last week, we had that with weight releasers. And I said, I need at least 500 pounds.
On the descent.
On the descent, minimum 500 pounds. You need to feel that, because you need to feel your bones wanting to collapse. You need to feel that, because if you never have felt that in the meat, you unrack that, you're going to be fucking shook. But if you feel it beforehand, then it's okay, it's whatever. Right. So with him, I think his top set was 460-ish on the bar, but then he had over 100 and some pounds. It was 565, 570 on the descent. And you could see it coming down. I'll post a video of it here. But you could see it coming down, and he said he could feel his bones crushing and shaking, but it exploded up off of his chest, right? So he has the confidence now to, you know what, when we go to meet 475, 465, that should be your second attempt. You smoked it. There's no question. You have the confidence to do that. Or when it comes to one thing that I really used to do when I was younger, when I could handle volume, is, sets of anywhere from, 8 to 10 with real high percentages, 70 to 80%, which fucking sucked. It's brutal. But if you're young, you can recover and you can do it. But what that teaches you, you do 4 sets of 8 at 75, 80%, that's a motherfucking grind. Mm-hmm. But when you have that weight on your back for that time under tension, you're used to squatting uncomfortably. So when you put something heavy on your back, it's nothing. It's heavy, But you're not afraid because, fuck, I just had 4 or 5 on my back for a set of 10.
Well, it's always going to be
5
heavy.
sets. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
have the confidence with some powerlifters who do a lot of, like, RP stuff, which is fine, but they never put, and so, like, it works for some people great, some people it doesn't. But if you've never put a load in your hands or on your back that's over your max, what's going to happen at meet day when you have to do something that you've never done, you're uncomfortable with? Are you going to smoke it, or are you going to be like, oh, fuck, this is like bone crushing?
Well, I think, the distinct kind of the point is if you were training for a competition sport, the training should be to elevate the minimums, right? You should constantly be moving your minimums up and up and up over the years that you're training in this, especially a strength sport.
Yeah.
So weightlifting, powerlifting, even some of your CrossFit movements. Like if you can, we all know that this is the argument that we've always made about being a strong CrossFitter. Stop being a cardio bunny. Like go be strong. Go clean 315. So when you have to cycle 185, it's nothing.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
If your best clean is 225 and you're super proud of it, and you're posting your PR videos, whenever you have to cycle at 185 and you've got 21:15.9, it's going to break you.
Yeah.
But if your best is 315 and you do working doubles at 280, we're not worried about it. You just go in there and worry about how you're going to control your breathing.
No, yeah. No, 100%.
Strength is king.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to stop it today.
Wrap it.
Strength is king. And we'll come back and talk more about that, but I think strength will always be the base to everything. And it does, and it's relative strength. I don't want people to get like, oh, well, I'm not that strong, but I can do that. Well, it's all relative to who you are. Like, can you do 20 pull-ups? Like, that's fucking strong.
Very much.
Can you hold a plank for 3 minutes? That's strong. Like, just, it's all relative. Like, if you have a strong base, everything else will grow.
I think someone said it. Strength is never a weekness.
Yeah. It's never a weakness. Who was that, Mark Bell?
I think it's Mark Bell, right?
So, all right, remember, like, subscribe, share this.
Traffic is lifting on the IG. Do not reach out to me on Facebook. You will not get me. And Training Log Podcast on YouTube. It has every bit of 6 videos, but this will be 7.
Got to start up somewhere, right? Like I said, share, subscribe.
Comment. Let us know what you think, because I know there's some shit that we said that's wrong, and we'll debate you on the next one.
And just remember, stay savage, not average.
Thank you for having me.
Zombified.